one of the greatest guys in the world. And with this Phillies team, it's just happy, right? It's fun. It's something that you can just every night. It's such a joy. And of course, no one better to enjoy it with than Phillies broadcaster Larry Anderson. LA, what's up, brother?
How you doing? Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you, buddy. My main man. This thing is so much fun every night, LA.
Yeah, it's one of those things where obviously we haven't seen it before. I mean, we were close to this in '93, but this team surpassed that. I mean, they're just unbelievable. And every day you go out there, it's somebody different. Somebody's doing it today. Somebody's doing it tomorrow. Somebody's the next day. It's just when you talk about a team effort, this team is the epitome of a team effort.
What is it like going to a clubhouse like that? Like in '93, one of the things that it was like every day was fun, and that's kind of feels like the same similarity here.
Yeah, it's the guys are just first of all, they've got, I think, a lot of similarities to the '93 team. Is the camaraderie, how close these guys are. It's been for a few years now for pretty much the same core, and they're really gelling. I think this year really, the way the season ended last year, and we talked about, they wanted to get off to a good start this year. And after the first two series, I remember talking on one of the shows. Where we talked about, oh no, the Phils aren't off to a good start, and I was like, oh, it's time to panic. There's only 156 games left, you know. But they just, these guys, they knew what they had to do. Did they get off to a slow start the first two series? Yeah, but I mean, come on, I wouldn't consider this a slow start right now.
They are 2 games. It's unbelievable the pace. Yeah. 2 wins off of one game, 2 wins off of Seattle, and the record. It's unbelievable. And you said it like every night. How about the atmosphere down there?
Oh.
Is it not place not the greatest? Like it's like Xanadu, happy in this on earth.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. But I've said this forever that to me, I mean, most recently I've said this that there's such a thing as home field advantage, and then there's Phillies home field advantage, and they're 2 different things. The Phillies, obviously it didn't end the way we wanted it to last year, but the fans, the way they've reacted to this team, the way the players have done everything they can to keep these fans involved. On the field, off the field, they're just, it's a great group of guys, and they just, I don't know, when the fans come out, it's like the players. I said this, I've said it for a long time. When teams are good and teams are playing like they are now, they go out on the field, they know they're going to win. That doesn't mean they're going to finish the season without another loss. But you go out there with that mentality, we're not losing. We're going to win this game. A lot of teams go out there and they say, well, we think we can win this game. These guys know they're going to win the game. That doesn't mean they will, and I think the fans have taken to that. The fans come to the game knowing they're going to see a winning game. They're going to see a great game, and they're going to walk away winners. And I think that drives people to the ballpark even more.
And then once you're there, it's almost, I mean, it's sometimes I think you have to pinch yourself. You go, wait a second, it's May, and they treat pitch by pitch. And you know baseball, right? Like nobody, you've been around this game your whole life. Nobody knows baseball like you. And baseball, that's October. In May, the intensity for every pitch, living on every pitch, it's awesome. Like the energy, because baseball can be sleepy at times. It's at this place, it feels like October every night in the summer.
It does, and it's like in the past, it never started. I don't remember it ever starting like this as far as the fan base. Yeah. It was, middle of May, starting about now. If you're playing really well, then fans would start packing the place. This has been from day one. They haven't stopped, and it's again they come to the park. They know they're buying a great product. Is basically what they're doing. They're coming to the park and knowing that they're going to get what they paid for. And even if they don't win, I mean, almost every game they're in it, and they've got a chance to win. And I think for the fans, that's all they want. They want to see a team that has a chance to win every time they go out there, and this team does.
Well, and we'll get to the team in a second, but just to go further with this thing, you've been to every park, right, 50 million times, right? You're going through the whole circuit. You've been through all these things, teams that are good, teams that are bad, whatever. I don't ever remember. I'm thinking like I was in New York covering the Yankees, like I Fenway. I mean, yeah, October, but I never remember an atmosphere. Dodger Stadium. I don't ever remember an atmosphere like Citizens Bank Park ever.
There's nothing like it. I mean, you just can't. You can't. To me, you can't compare this. I mean, I basically New York has so many people. They're obviously got a chance to pull a lot of fans in. But aside from that, Philadelphia, Boston, Chicago, to me, are three great cities to play, great fan bases. I think I would say Philly and Boston are very close in that regard. But to come out right from the get go, and the other thing, Fenway's small. I mean, people, they're begging for a ticket, uh, and not that people aren't begging for a ticket here, but you have a little more capacity. But the way they've come out from day one, and it's just packing the house, and to go out there as a player, knowing that you've got that every day coming in, that's a great feeling to know. Hey, these guys got my back. They're coming in here. They're supporting us like nobody else. And there's no place like Philadelphia for other than Philly.
And you mentioned the group of guys in the clubhouse, and that's key, right? That's
Yeah,
paramount. Bryce asking a girl to the prom for a young fan on the off day. Castellanos throwing the cell phone back to the guy who dropped it in the outfield. Like these little things, like you mentioned, off the field, on the field, like there is an amazing bond between like this group and the fan and the town that I've never seen.
yeah.
That's something else. Like you had some of that in '93, but I don't even know if to this level.
I don't think to this level. It's. I mean, obviously things are different today than they were 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But it is. It's the guys. They understand it. The guys that are here, I would say almost every single one of them. They know what it means. They know what it takes. They know what they have here in Philadelphia. And I think to a man, Whit Merrifield to me is a perfect example. Is he had a chance to go somewhere else and play every day. He said after seeing what Philly was like in the playoffs and talking with other players that have been through here, he's like, I want to be a part of that. And to come here and say, I'll take a spot on the bench just to be a part of what it's like in this playoff atmosphere. But it's not even playoff atmosphere now. It's every day is that atmosphere. And to have that as a player coming to the park, it's like, what a great feeling.
It's and it starts. Listen, I know Schwarber is a big presence in that room, but the whole thing starts with Bryce, right? Like
Yeah.
you have a true superstar, and I don't know many superstars that love it, like shows devotion to his town, like that he loves being here. I think it all begins kind of with his love affair with
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
Yeah. And I think that the three words that just summarize him and the players behind him is they get it. Bryce Harper gets it. He gets it. Three words, he gets it. If you can't play in this town, if you can't handle constructive criticism, people getting on you. If you can't handle that, don't come here. You don't belong here. But I remember after the first year, Bryce Harper. I remember speaking to him. It was down in Washington at the end of the season, and I was on a trip. But last year I traveled. Yeah, and we're down in Washington. And I went up to him and I said, "I appreciate what you've done this year." It was his first year with the Phillies. I said, "Everything you've done from the fans. The fans booed him early on. I mean, they got on him with the slow start when he first got here. He handled that so well that the time he spends with the kids, the prom thing that he just did, he gets it. He understands what this town, what people's lives. I don't say they depend on the sports in this town, but it has a lot to do with their attitude throughout every week.
Yeah.
Whether it's Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, it doesn't matter. they're passionate about their teams, and when their teams aren't doing well, they suffer, and it's you can see it in just in the city. Where else do you have that? Where it's like they live and die with their sports teams. That passion that they have, you can't replace that. You can't just make that up.
Did, has the fan changed? I was thinking about this the other day. Like, you think, and obviously, there's people change, and I think as a society, we've become, I think, more tolerant or whatever you want to call it, less hardened at times. But I do think I've never seen this fan, like the youth. I love it. Like, to me, it's beautiful because they've like embraced everything, and I think that kind of mentality has filtered, like it breathes new life into the older fan. Like, they're in on the party. Like, it's a true party kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, everybody's invited. In this town, when it comes to that, everybody from
Yeah.
3 years old to 103 years old, everybody's part of the party. Everybody's invited to the party. Everybody takes part. Everybody has a chance, and it's there's nothing to. I don't know if the fan has changed so much as this team has brought more fans into it. In baseball all around, I think attendance has gone up. It's been good. But I don't. I mean, to see what it's like here, I feel bad for teams and guys that play in Miami for their whole career.
Yeah.
It's in Tampa Bay. It's hard. It's a whole different story going to the park, and there's going to be 8,000 people there. Even though they'll say there's 18,000 or 20,000, the players know there's nobody there, and it's tough to play that way. It's compared to what it's like walking out on the field here. You really can't compare it, and I can't explain why it's different. But the energy that comes with the fan base that we have here can't be replaced. It can't be copied anywhere else. If you don't have that, it's a different ballgame for the player just going to the park.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, LA. Yeah, you make it's brilliant. I remember back in the day covering games in Montreal, and
Yeah.
there's like nobody there. You look around the crowd, and half of them were smoking, right? Like, it was just crazy. Like, it was quiet. Like, you could hear guys, and I think back to the roars that happens now, and even like go back to '93, and the roar that comes out of it, that's got to give a player chills. Like, that actually affects you. That lifts you up.
Yeah, I mean it to me it puts the player it puts him takes him to a higher level, and you it's something that you can't. There's no recipe to it. It's I don't know all the physiological terminology or anything, but it brings energy to you. The energy that you feel in the park from all the fans, it gets built up in you, and you end up doing, I think, more than you're used to doing or capable of doing. It does. I don't know how to say it. Just other than it just takes you to another level. It really does.
I was so excited to talk to you because the rosters. I'm dying to talk about how good they are, because and then we'll do the rotation last, because nobody does pitching like you. You look at this lineup, is with Bohm and Stott and Marsh, the daycare coming into their own. I mean, this is probably the best lineup that we've seen. I mean, '08 and '09, go back to '80, but I think this is kind of the best lineup that's top to bottom.
I think it's the most complete. That as you said just now, top to bottom, and it's. I think you mentioned Bohm. Harper's all of a sudden. I shouldn't say all of a sudden, but he's seems like of late. Last couple of weeks he has really turned it around, and I think for me a lot of that is because Bohm's hitting behind him. But you see him lately. A few more pitchers having a tendency, or teams having a tendency to pitch to Harper, because this RBI machine that's hitting behind him It doesn't matter if it's a righty or a lefty on the mound. He's going to get the job done. He's going to drive in the run somehow, some way. He might fist one in the right. He might pull one down the line to left. There's no telling, but he's going to get the runs in. He's got that mentality when he goes to the plate. I'm going to get these guys in here, and I think I really believe it's helped Harper offensively at the plate. But it's the young kid. You're right. The Marsh, the Stotts, the Rojas. I think he, to me, got to maybe just started to get a little too complacent, a little too comfortable out there, which you can't do as a rookie. I mean, you got to go out there. You can't take plays off. You can't miss balls. You can't, and he understands that. I think he's a great young talent. Offensively, not as much as defensively right now, but that could turn around too. But I just these kids that come in and basically they become a part of, or they help the main guys, your main guys in there, but the guys around them, the guys around Remuto, Harper, Schwarber, the young guys, they're doing a tremendous job. And that's why I say it's like this to me is one of the greatest teams when it comes to team effort.
Yeah.
They don't, and when you watch the guys, like Thompson's really doing a good job of giving guys a day off, getting them off their feet. Each guy, getting spelled a little bit here or there. When you watch the guys that aren't in the game, the regulars, the way they're pulling for their guys taking their place, they're on their feet, they're stomping, they're pounding on the pad on the dugout. They're all pulling for each other, and it doesn't matter who's doing it. They just want them to win, and they just want to win themselves.
Hey, real quick with Bohm, what makes him such a great hitter? Is his plate coverage? Like
I
it
think-
looks right.
Yeah, I think there's not one thing when you look at it, say, well, what's a guy's weakness? I don't know. I mean, they throw him up and in, he can fight one off the right. They throw it down and away, he can hit a bullet through the hole to the right side. They throw something slow or pitch him in, he can turn on it. He can do so much with the bat no matter where the ball is pitched. I think that's what makes him so good. He can handle any pitch in any part of the plate.
Yeah, he's astounding. All right, let's begin with Ranger. Wow. I love there's nothing better than listening to you. You and Scott are my favorite, man. I love it, and I love when you talk about it, man. When you talk about and breaking Ranger down, man, is great. So let me get out of the way and shut up.
First of all, I think this is something that he's always been capable of, and we saw it in the playoffs the last 2 years. What he can do. One of these days I'm expecting I'm going to see a heartbeat, because he's out there. Most of the time, you expect the EMTs to be out there because they can't find a pulse. We got to resuscitate them. No, wait a minute, he's fine. That's just him. His heart only beats once a minute. But he's so cool, calm, and collected. But I think that helps him tremendously. But his ability to just stay focused on what he needs to do. A couple years ago we had the last year the World Baseball Classic. Visa problems in the past. He finally comes to spring. He's healthy. There's no World Baseball. There's nothing to disrupt him. He has a regular spring, and he's out there starting the season like you expect him to be every year now. I mean, his curveball has become so much more of a weapon for him. The changeup, and all of a sudden, hitters see the curveball, they see the changeup, and now they're sitting there. Now he's not throwing 105, he's throwing 93, 94. And how many times have we seen a right-hander, be frozen on a fastball middle in? Doesn't even have to be a perfect pitch. It just freezes him though, because after the changeup and the curveball, his fastball looks like it's 104 instead of 94.
Yeah,
and freezes him. And he understands that. He's not young. He's 28. I mean, he's somewhat young, but I mean, he's got some experience. But he's always known how to pitch, and I think that's one of his biggest assets. He knows how to pitch. He knows how to mix things up. I think now he's at a point where his confidence is so high. He doesn't have to think a whole lot like maybe some other guys do. He can just go out there and just say, okay, I'm throwing this pitch here. I'm throwing this here. He can tell the hitters what's coming, and I think he would still have success because his command is so good. He's just tremendous competitor too.
Yeah, it's remarkable because you mentioned his temperament. His temperament's unreal. Like you're right. It's like you know. Watching him and you're it's funny like you wonder you go what you use the EMT line and it's so true like you never see him sweat like you never
Never.
see like and you know like when you watch a guy and even when he's in somewhat trouble which has been rare this year there's never a tense like there's never
No.
a breath.
No, you would never know it. You wouldn't know if he's got a perfect game going or if he's given up 4 runs in the first 2 innings. You would not know it from his mannerisms on the mound. He doesn't give the hitter, he doesn't give the other team any advantage if things aren't going well or if he doesn't feel his best. The other team will never know that from Ranger, and I think that's something that um, I think some pitchers we've had where they wear their emotions too much on their sleeves, where they get their head down, that things aren't going well, they're shrugging their shoulders. The other team sees that. They're like, oh, this guy's right. He is ready to be taken down. Ranger, you wouldn't know. Nothing changes with him.
And this rotation, it just you got to give Dombrowski a ton of credit because
Yeah.
it fits. And bringing Nola back was a huge deal, man.
Yeah.
I always say he's like Miss Pac-Man, man. He just eats innings,
Yes.
right? Like, and you need that over the course of a year. I love how the rotation kind of fits together with Wheeler, Ranger, Nola, and then Sanchez, and you see everybody else kind of fill in Walker and Turnbull.
Right. One of the guys to me, if Sanchez had a little bit more run support, he hasn't had much, but if he had a little more, he would have some unbelievable, a much better win-loss record.
Yeah.
And here's a guy, a kid that kind of following in Rangers' footsteps to me. He's got a great changeup. His changeup might be better than Rangers, but it's so good. And Sanchez is one guy, like so much, especially with the analytics coming in. It's like we got to get this guy out. Trevor Williams with the Nationals having a great year, but he throws 90 pitches, 80 pitches, whatever. Third time through the order, he's out. He doesn't face a team with third time through the order. And almost all pitchers are this way. They start off good, but the second time through, they hit him a little more. Third time through, they hit him a lot more. Sanchez is the opposite. Sanchez starts off slow, and each time through the order, he's better and better, and that's just rare. It speaks to his stuff and to his ability to get anybody out anytime, whether they've seen him before or not. That's how good his stuff is. I think a little better command of his fastball, and I do think tightening up a breaking ball for him would help a lot. But
Yeah.
still, I mean, even without that, if he was getting some run support, he'd probably be 7-1, 8-2. Who knows? He's got a lot. He's got a lot of potential, and I think you're talking about this guy as your number 5 starter. Um, and so when you look at the rotation as a whole, you go, holy cow! And the job Turnbull did when Taiwan Walker was out, you can't you can't match it. You can't replace it. That's just the way that's
I
the whole
like him.
rotation.
I do. Now, I know you can't bring him in with runners on. It's hard to roll and it's hard to bring him in with runners on. It's kind of a shame because he's
Yeah,
almost like you stash him. God forbid something happens, Walker, or somebody blows up, somebody gets hurt. You have a guy in Turnbull because I liked him in Detroit.
yeah, definitely. And this is before he got hurt. He was. I mean, he had great stuff. Now
Yeah.
it's taken him a couple years to get back from his surgery. But look what he did. I mean, he was filthy. It's like obviously Taiwan Walker. You don't want to take the job away from him because he got hurt. But and the contract obviously has some say in that too. I think I don't think that's a secret. But Turnbull's like you could throw him in a rotation, get him stretched out again to 6 innings, 7 innings. He'll step in and do a great job again. I mean, that's the depth of this team. I said for a lot of the spring and over the winter, and even the start of the season, the key to this team was that no injuries because they don't have the depth. And I was wrong, way wrong. This team has a lot more depth than I thought. To me, You look
Spot.
at everything they do. You know, Cody Clemens comes out. Thompson said this guy's a big league player. He's just in a tough spot right now. But look at what he's done coming off the bench. Not finally gets a pinch hit. We hadn't had a pinch hit in our first, I think, 17, 18 at bats with pinch hitters. We didn't have a hit. He got the first one. He's got some big hits and guys in the bullpen. It just whatever it is, guys are everybody's doing a job, and that's the thing. That just there is the depth. And what are we 12, 13-3 since Hunter's been? I mean, since Turner's been out.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? Like it's unbelievable.
And the job Sosa's doing, it's short, and some big home runs, some big hits. It's I think
Out of the bullpen. How about Strom's doing? Oh my
man.
God!
And it doesn't matter, righty, lefty. With him, there's no matchups. It's just come in and get him out, and maybe by a strikeout. But like they're not even barreling balls up. They're not even hitting balls hard off him consistently at all. I mean, he's just coming in there and just dealing. And a guy that can also he can go out for 2 innings and do that. Where today so many relievers are like, I'm only a 1 inning. I don't know how they dictate that they're only 1 inning pitchers, but I guess that's what we allow them to do anymore. So be it. It is what it is. But he'll go out there and give you a couple innings, maybe 3 if you needed it.
I gotta tell you, it's such a blast, and you know what? You make it even better, brother. You're the greatest.
I appreciate that.
Man, this is so much fun. It was funny. I was telling everybody, listen, this is such a gift. Like, we remember 93, we remember 08, 09, 10, 11. But pitch by pitch, don't rush to October. Enjoy every one of these games. It's a different animal, right? Let it be.
Yes.
And just enjoy this because what we're seeing now is rare.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to happen. Don't expect it every year, but cherish this. Honestly, exactly what you said, Ant. Just take it all in right now because this is something you might never see again. You know what this team's doing right now and what you hope to do by the end of the season. You might not see another one like this ever. So take it all in.
The great LA. You're the best, man. Love you, brother.
Appreciate it. Love you too, pal. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, buddy. The great Larry Anderson, man. I love him. He's the best.
We all silly like the mayor.